But Barbara called me right now.
Regular session. Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, there are no appearance for citizens. No one signed up. Any old business? New business. First item on the agenda on the new business is the financial statement for July. First month of this fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that it be approved.
Have a second. Motion second, discussion.
I have a question, Mr. Clint's not here to answer. On the department summary, for fire protection, the expenditures to date, which would have been the month of July, $559,546. I don't know what that was for. Somebody needs to refresh my memory. That's an awful lot. I don't know what that was spent on. The budget was $258,400, and we've already overspent in the first month of the fiscal year. And I'm just not sure with the $559,546 for fire protection. I don't know what those expenditures are.
I had 2 or 3 other questions that were 2, and that was one of them. He was going to address those tonight, but he is ill. Also, he just had some percent wrong. Yeah. That was the big issue. Yeah, I think.
Am I still allowed to table this?
I think so. Yeah, let's table it. All right. Mr. Rell, in the event he comes in tomorrow, would you just let him know that that's one of the things we want explanation of? All right, the other thing, as you know, we've been without a county manager for some time. We had 18 applications. 2 of which were withdrawn. We have been reviewing those carefully, and at this point in time, I would like to make the motion that Randall Dowling is and be selected as the sole finalist in the Harris County Board of Commissioners search for county manager, and that the county manager of Harris County be chosen at a public meeting of the Board of Commissioners held no sooner than 14 days after the selection of the finalist for county manager. Do I have a second? Second. I've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion at all? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Now, the 14 days is a state law, and which would mean that in 2 weeks we could not finalize this. So it is going to be the first meeting in November, where we would do the final vote on that. So we will be in touch with him and working with him in the interim. So he has also consented when we get down below 3 or fewer candidates, they have to consent, and he has advised his consent to having his name divulged in public in the media. So that will happen. Okay, county manager, did Nancy give you anything to report on? Okay.
No, sir.
All right, I do want to bring you all up to date on one thing. The CDBG for Kings Gap, remember we had advertised, we only received one bid, and we can accept one bid if the Department of Community Affairs, Georgia Department of Community Affairs approves that, and their approval involves that we went through all due process to getting that done. We received a letter yesterday saying that they have approved that, so we can move forward with CDBG. The rest of it, pay part of it for Kings Gap. Anybody else, any other projects that we want to bring up?
Washington Road.
Washington Road is, there have been meetings there with the neighbors. There have been projects identified. As soon as the paving company has finished, which I believe they have done now, I did not check with them today, but I believe they have finished. Then Mr. Brown, Michael Brown, head of our Public Works, Roads Department of Public Works, will be reviewing the road for any of the issues that were non-contractual that we still need to do, such as signage and slight distances and that type of thing. So those will be moving forward. I do know that all the major work was completed, fences put back up. So we will be looking at a couple of drainage issues. We haven't had any rain, so we haven't really determined whether we have a real problem there or not. But we have committed to the folks there that we will make sure that these things are addressed and completed. Anything else? Okay, Mr. Taylor, resolution for the reallocation of SPLOST funds.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, Chief Byron Hawkins, who is the chief of Northwest Harris Volunteer Fire Department, came before you and made a request that the funds from the SPLOST, 2014 SPLOST, which had been generally allocated for the purchase of a new fire truck by the Northwest Harris Fire Department, be reallocated to the construction of a new fire station. You charged me with the responsibility of drafting a resolution, or looking at it to see if the law would allow us to do that, or you to do that, and also to prepare an appropriate resolution. As you well know, the general rule is if you voters vote a SPLOST in, they have specific ballot questions, and that's what that money's to go for. You can't put it, you can't use it for, to have one thing on the ballot and use it for something totally different. And that's what, in this resolution, I went back and got the 2013 ballot question, which imposed the question was whether or not voters were going to impose a $19 million 1% sales tax for a number of projects, one of which was a capital outlay in the amount of $2,701,000 for Harris, unincorporated Harris County, for the use and benefit of all the citizens for the acquisition and purchase of firefighting equipment, trucks, building construction and repairs, and to include the purchase of approximately 10 fire trucks and 2 brush trucks. And then there was also some items that were for 2 of the municipalities, which are not an issue here. And the purpose of course, this SPLOST was to, for inclusion of this clause in there on the ballot question was to provide fire protection for the citizens of Harris County, and through either trucks or equipment or building construction and repairs. And the new fire truck, I think, it was something that had been discussed at the time the SPLOST was going on. But According to, as you heard Chief Hawkins last week, or 2 weeks ago, say that circumstances have changed, and those circumstances are that if you recall, the volunteer fire department is an old school building that was owned by the Board of Education, and it's 50, 60 years old, if not older. And I understand it's in a declining state of repair. The roof leaks, there's mold in the building. Some of the trucks have to be stored outside, and that the restrooms are substandard, and the building is in a great need of repair. Also, you use this facility as a polling place. But from what I'm understanding, looking at the tax records, Northwest Harris Volunteer Fire Department owns 2 parcels of land. One is around Piedmont Lake, I think, a small part that they have just to have a truck there to use to scramble with. And then the major part of it is over in Whitesville on this piece of property. But they've acquired a piece of property that fronts on Pine Lake Road and Monument Road. And Commissioner Wood said it kind of was a little bit confusing, but it was street access to Highway 219. And I meant, what I meant was when I said street access to Highway 219, short proximity to Highway 219, because I think it'd be easier, quicker to get there from 219 from where they are now. And this resolution, as you've read it, you make the determination that the cost of repair of the new facility, the present facility, would be more expensive and it's more economically feasible to construct a new facility to house this new fire department on the property that it owns. And then we can go through a process by which can convey it to the county and then build it, you own it, and lease it back to them. So we can handle it that way. But in this resolution, you have to determine whether or not the commitment to these SPLOST funds should be applied to the construction of a new facility, and it's better and wiser in your discretion to do that than buy a new fire truck. And you find in this, as in Section 5, that the reallocation of these SPLOST funds would not jeopardize or reduce the firefighting protection of the Northwest Harris Volunteer Fire Department if they have a new station as opposed to a new truck. And I understand from Chief Hawkins that there are trucks they feel like that they can handle the firefighting equipment with what they have in a newer station, and be able to, they can still respond to the area that they cover. And then you make, if you adopt this resolution, you make the determination and exercise your discretion to adjust the SPLOST funds for more effective use and to benefit the citizens of Harris County. And you authorize these funds to be changed from a new fire truck to a new fire station. I understand that this is not what the cost of the new fire truck is not sufficient to pay for a brand new fire station in Toto, but will be applied to it, and they would have to come up with raising more funds to do it. And that's another issue. But you are now, what you're doing is appropriating it from one area of fire protection to another area within the ballot question, that is the construction or the repair of their facilities. You did this one time before, or twice before, actually, and I think all of you are fully aware of that when you have the 9 SPLOST and you're going to build a 3-level parking deck out there and for $2.5 million and get 118 parking places, and you could take all the trees down and level it out and park in what you got now for $250,000. And you took that extra money and used it on and had another resolution because you had buying radio equipment, and then it kind of came to light that the radio equipment wouldn't work on the north side of the mountain because you didn't have a tower over there. So you took that money and used it over there for the radio equipment, and so it's a more judicious use of your SPOS funds. Majority courts have allowed it. You know, you just can't, the one case, the legal case out of Rome, Dickey versus Story, there were two parts to it. They spent $2.5 million deciding they were going to build something somewhere getting ready for it, then they just abandoned the project. And the court said no, but another one, they moved the location of some ball fields or some recreation facilities. The only one that has been just flat turned down was a few years ago that came out of Cobb County, where the Cobb County Board of Education was going to use the SPOS balance, and a pretty good chunk of change was going to be used for improvement of system-wide technology and whatnot. They changed up and didn't approve that. They bought laptops for all the middle school and high school students, or iPads for all of them. And the court said that was too much of a deviation, you know, from just general technology improvement. So this is you know, something that you can do in your discretion. You don't have to do it. You know, you've come in and that's the way everybody, the other fire departments have looked at it and said, well, we're going to get these fire trucks, and now you're going to deviate from that. But still, on the other hand, the facility they're in now, like I said, is owned by the Board of Education. It's been conveyed to you. You own it. Now, what you going to do about it is what it comes down to. You buy a new fire truck and let them park it out in the rain, or you're going to let them use this for a new station. That's up to you and the various ins and outs of allowing these funds to be reallocated, and it should be for a very valid reason rather than just kind of a win. And if you determine that this is that type of reason, then you certainly can adopt it. Or if you say no, then that's when you'll go with the fire truck, and then they'll have to worry about what the fire department does, you know, where they have it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I do note, and I just want to point out, Article 7, bottom of the second page of this, it does specify that the SPOS funds that have been designated for the purchase of a new fire truck for Northwest Fire Department will be the ones used for a new fire station, so they will not get any more funds that they have been allocated originally.
And that was Chief Hawkins' understanding as well too, that, you know, whatever that was going to be was going to, you know, get applied, and, you know, you would have to, it would be enough to build the whole thing, but it'd make a, you know, pretty good jump toward getting the station built.
All right, sir. I'm going to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a resolution that we make a relocation, allocation of the SPOS funds for the fire trucks to building construction of the new fire station, Northwest Harris County Volunteer Fire Department.
I have a second.
Second.
Say discussion.
I have a couple of questions, please. The resolution does not address the ownership of that, and I'm also concerned about there's going to be volunteer fire department funds that they've earned going in with the SPOS funds. How would that be handled? Should we?
Well, the way I envisioned it, and I don't know that, I didn't put it in here specifically for this, but you know, it could be, you know, they raise all the funds. But what I was thinking was going to do was that, and I talked with Chief Hawkins about it, was that, you know, you'd allocate those funds, you'd hold those funds, and then whatever the rest of them, if it was a third, 2/3 of it, they would require, you know, they would have to come up with the other third with fundraisers or donations or whatever. In that case, then they would turn around and convey the property, give the property to the county. It'd be in the county's name. You can use tax dollars to build a facility on it. They can give you extra money to go with it. And then once you get the thing built, you own it. you can lease it back to them for X number of years. And that's where you've got, that's what's on this one out here, you've got a lease with them, they lease it. And so that would get around the issue of the gratuity and giving away tax money and using tax money. So it can be done that way.
Do we need to address that?
I don't think so with here. You just say we're gonna allocate it to that right here, and then once that point comes, then you can use it. Now, you can always turn back around and reallocate it back to a fire truck.
Right. Okay. And Mr. Chairman, may I ask Chief Hawkins a question, please? I was just wondering, thank you, in the design of the building, will it be conducive to still being used as a polling place?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, okay.
It's the design, if you want something that is very similar to the Hamilton station, that has a media room, kitchen and all, and it's also designed to have sleeping quarters and offices, should at some point in time we go to the point where we've got full-time, firefighters instead of all volunteers. So we got to think down the road a little bit too.
Definitely. Well, thank you. That sounds great.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor, appreciate that. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. All right. It is now just past 7:30. We had a public hearing scheduled. I'm going to dispense with the explanation of the public hearing procedures. I would assume, John, we don't need to fill out the conflict of interest form.
No, sir, I don't think so.
So we will do that, and the reason for that is that we have received a request from the petitioner that this application be withdrawn. So if we agree to that, then we don't need to do those other things.
Nor do you need to go back and have another hearing before the planning commission. The Zoning Procedures Act only requires one public hearing. Theoretically, they could hold a public hearing, make a recommendation to you, and you go, but you have over the years decided, you have two public hearings, let them do it, make a recommendation to you, and then you act on that after you conduct the hearing. So the reason that this was not acted on by the planning commission was that they didn't have a quorum at their last meeting. So there's no sense of holding off, with this, to send it back to them to make a recommendation, yes, to approve the withdrawal of the zoning request. Hence, it's before you tonight, it's really not as necessary to have a public hearing on it.
All right?
Chairman, I'll make the motion to allow the withdrawal.
All right, a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. All right, Mr. Taylor, do you have anything else?
No, sir, I think we do need to go into executive session for the purpose of some additional personnel matters, some potential or threatened or existing litigation, and possibly the acquisition of the property.
All right, I'll make that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right. Go into executive session. Do not, Andy, for your benefit, I do not expect anything to come out of this executive session that we need to act on. All right. Thank you, folks, for being here tonight. Motion, I'll entertain